I stared at my phone screen, my hands trembling as I refreshed the banking app for the 5th time. The balance remained the same, $212.47. Just yesterday, there had been over $85,000, my entire life savings, carefully accumulated over 6 years of overtime shifts and declined vacations. My stomach lurched as I dialed the bank's fraud department. My name is Annalise, and this was the moment I discovered my own family had betrayed me. "I'm sorry, Miss Hall, but the transfers appear to be authorized," the bank representative said. "They were made using your correct login credentials and security questions." "That's impossible," I said, my voice cracking. "I never authorized." Then it hit me. The family dinner last weekend. Dad asking to borrow my phone to look something up, while Mum distracted me with wedding venue photos for Dustin's upcoming ceremony. I ended the call and drove straight to my parents' house, my knuckles white on the steering wheel. The familiar colonial-style home, with its perfectly manicured lawn, looked different now, menacing almost. Mum opened the door before I could knock. "Annalise, what a lovely surprise!" "Where's my money?" I pushed past her into the foyer. Dad appeared from his study, coffee mug in hand. "Lower your voice, young lady." "Don't you dare tell me to lower my voice! $85,000 gone! You stole from me!" Mum's practice smile didn't waver. "Borrowed, darling. We borrowed it. For Dustin's wedding. You know how important this is for the family's reputation. The Elliots are very well connected." "Borrowed?" I laughed, the sound harsh and foreign to my own ears. "Without asking me? That money was for my house down payment." "Oh, please!" Dad set his mug down with a sharp clink. "You can keep renting that little apartment. Dustin's wedding is a priority right now. The venue alone costs $60,000. I worked overtime for 6 years, nights, weekends, holidays." "And we raised you for 28 years, Mum cut in. "Really, Annalise, this jealousy of your brother is becoming quite ugly." "Jealousy? You think this is about jealousy?" Dad's face hardened. "Your brother is marrying into the Elliot family. This wedding will open doors for all of us. You're being selfish." "Selfish?" My voice rose. "I'm being selfish?" "You always were dramatic," Mum sighed, smoothing her cashmere sweater. "The money will be returned eventually. Though honestly, dear, what were you thinking? A house in this market? You should be more realistic about your station in life." They laughed, actually laughed, and something inside me snapped. The sound of their dismissive chuckles echoed in my ears as I stormed out, slamming the door behind me. In my car, I called Reese, my best friend since college. My voice shook as I told her everything. "Those manipulative bastards," she said. "We need to call the police. They used my credentials, the bank won't help, and they're my parents. They'll say I gave permission." I wiped angry tears from my cheeks. God, I feel so stupid. All those times I stayed late at work while Dustin partied through grad school on their dime. All those family dinners where they praised his ambition while calling my accounting job settling. "What are you going to do?" I watched through the windshield as Mum drew the living room curtains closed. "They want me to play the supportive sister at this wedding. Fine, I'll play my part, but they have no idea what's coming." "Annalise," Reese's voice held a warning note. "They took everything from me, Reese. My savings, my dreams, my trust, all for precious Dustin's perfect wedding to perfect Juliana." My fingers tightened around the steering wheel. "Well, if they want a wedding to remember, I'll give them exactly that." "What are you planning?" I started the car, my mind already racing with possibilities. "I don't know yet, but I'm done being the family doormat. They think they can just laugh this off. They have no idea who they're dealing with anymore." As I drove away, I caught a glimpse of Dustin's BMW pulling into the driveway. My own brother, who must have known about this theft but said nothing. The golden child who never had to fight for anything in his life. "Just wait," I whispered, pulling onto the main road. "Just you all wait and see." My phone buzzed with a text from Mum. "Don't forget, wedding planning brunch on Sunday. Wear something appropriate." I didn't respond. They wanted me to play along. Perfect. I'd play along so well they'd never see me coming. After all, they'd taught me everything I needed to know about keeping up appearances. The game was on, and this time I was making the rules. Sunday brunch at the country club was my parents' favourite stage for their performance of The Perfect Family. I arrived exactly on time, wearing the pastel dress Mum had given me last Christmas, playing my assigned role of the dutiful daughter. "Annalise!" Juliana waved from the terrace, surrounded by wedding magazines and colour swatches. Her diamond engagement ring caught the sunlight, probably worth more than my yearly salary. "Come see what we've picked for the bridesmaid dresses." I forced a smile and took my seat, accepting the mimosa Mom pressed into my hand. "They're beautiful," I said, studying the silk samples in various shades of sage green. "Aren't they?" Mom beamed. "And only $800 each. Such a bargain for designer." $800. Another knife twist. I took a long sip of my drink, watching as Dad and Dustin approached from the golf course, looking like they'd stepped out of a country club catalogue. "Little sister," Dustin clapped my shoulder. "Glad you could make it. We missed you at dinner Thursday." "I had to work late," I said. "Some of us still have to earn our own money." Mom's warning glare could have frozen hell. "Annalise, dear, let's not discuss such dreary topics. Juliana, tell us more about the venue lighting options." I sat back, observing their carefully orchestrated dance. Mum touching Juliana's arm while sharing wedding planning wisdom. Dad bragging about Dustin's latest promotion. Everyone pretending my life savings hadn't vanished into their wedding fund. "Excuse me," I said, heading to the restroom. As I passed the bar, I overheard Dustin's voice around the corner. "Of course she's upset, Dad. You should have let me handle it differently." "She'll get over it," Dad replied. "Besides, what was she going to do with that money anyway? Buy some starter home in the suburbs. This wedding will give her connections she could never make on her own." "I know, but taking her entire savings without—" "Your sister needs to learn her place, son. The sooner she accepts that, the better for everyone." I pressed myself against the wall, my heart pounding. So Dustin had known, had probably helped plan it. "Everything okay?" Reese's text lit up my phone. She'd been checking on me hourly since that day. "They're all in on it," I typed back. "Even Dustin." "Want me to come get you?" "No, I need to stay, getting good intel." I returned to the table just as Juliana was discussing the guest list. "We've invited the governor's family, of course, and several state senators." "Wonderful connections," Mum practically purred. "Annalise, you'll be seated at table 3 with some lovely young professionals. Who knows? Maybe you'll finally meet someone suitable." "Actually," I smiled sweetly, "I've invited Simon to be my +1. The family lawyer. Dad choked on his coffee. "Simon," Mum's voice rose an octave, "but he's my age, successful, someone who actually respects me." I took another sip of mimosa. He was quite pleased to accept. The tension at the table was delicious. Simon had handled our family's legal affairs for years, but he'd always shown me particular kindness. Dad looked like he'd swallowed a lemon. "How nice," Juliana attempted to smooth things over. "Now, about the seating chart. Simon mentioned he's excited to review the family trust documents before the wedding," I added casually. "Something about updating beneficiaries?" Dad's face went pale. "That won't be necessary. Simon's services won't be required for the wedding." "Oh, but I've already asked him. In fact, we're having dinner next week to discuss some financial matters." The mimosa glass in Mum's hand trembled slightly. "Annalise, perhaps we should talk privately." "No need." I stood up, gathering my purse. Everything's already arranged. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a meeting with my bank about some unauthorized transactions." As I walked away, I heard Juliana ask, "Is everything all right? Should I be concerned?" "Not at all, dear." Mum's voice was strained. "Annalise is just being difficult." I smiled to myself as I left the country club. They thought they had all the power, all the control. But I'd seen the fear in Dad's eyes at the mention of Simon. There were secrets there, ones they desperately wanted to keep buried. My phone buzzed with a text from Simon. "Got your message? Very interested in discussing those documents? Tuesday at 7? "Perfect," I replied. "I have quite a story to tell you." The pieces were falling into place. Mum and Dad had taught me well, appearance is everything, and soon their perfect family facade would shatter like the crystal glasses they loved to display but never used. Let them worry. Let them wonder what I knew. The wedding was still 2 months away, and I was just getting started. "You're telling me they forged your signature on these documents?" Simon leaned forward across his desk, examining the papers I'd brought. His office felt safer than any restaurant for this conversation. "Look at the date," I pointed to the transfer authorization. "I was in Seattle for a conference that entire week. There's no way I could have signed these in person." Simon's expression darkened as he studied the documents. "This is troubling, very troubling. Your father assured me these transfers were approved by all parties." "They weren't," I said firmly. "And I think you know, this isn't the first time they've done something like this." He removed his glasses, rubbing his temples. "Annalise, what exactly are you asking me to do here? You know, I need copies of every document my parents have had you prepare in the last 10 years, especially anything involving the family trust or property transfers." "That would be a breach of client confidentiality." "Unless," I interrupted, "there's evidence of fraud, which there is." "You know there is, Simon. How many other documents has my father asked you to backdate?" His silence was answer enough. My phone buzzed, Reese texting to make sure I was okay. I'd told her about my plan to meet Simon, and she was monitoring the situation closely. "What you're suggesting could ruin your family's reputation," Simon said carefully. "They ruined that themselves. I'm just going to expose it." He stood up and walked to his filing cabinet, unlocking it with trembling hands. "Your father. He has certain expectations about how things should be handled." "You mean how he expects you to handle things illegally?" Simon pulled out a thick folder. "There are irregularities in multiple documents, things I should have questioned more thoroughly. Show me." For the next hour, we pored over years of financial documents, property transfers, trust amendments, tax forms, all with subtle but significant discrepancies. My father's fingerprints were all over them, and Simon had helped cover the tracks. "Why did you go along with it?" I asked. "Your father made it clear my firm's future depended on my cooperation. He has connections throughout the city. One word from him could have destroyed my practice." "And now?" Simon met my eyes. "And now I'm facing potential disbarment if this comes to light. Unless you help me make it right," I finished. "I don't want to ruin you, Simon. I just want justice." My phone buzzed again. This time it was Dustin. "Where are you? Mum's freaking out about you meeting Simon." I ignored it. "I need copies of everything," I told Simon, "and I need you to be ready to testify about how these documents were created." "The wedding," he said slowly. "You're planning something at the wedding." "Just be there with the documents, that's all I'm asking." He nodded, starting to make copies. "Your father will try to destroy you for this." "He already tried that," I said. "Now it's my turn." When I left Simon's office, Reese was waiting in her car outside. "Well?" she asked as I slid into the passenger seat. I held up the folder. "We've got them. Dad's been forging documents for years. Tax fraud, property fraud, everything." "Holy shit!" Reese pulled away from the curb. "What about Simon?" "He's on board. Turns out Dad's been threatening him for years. He's ready to flip. My phone started ringing. Mum's number. I declined the call. You know they're going to come after you hard now, Reese warned. Let them try. I've got proof of everything. We drove to Reese's apartment, where I had been staying since discovering the theft. It felt safer than my place, where my family might show up unannounced. I've got something else for you, Reese said, pulling out her laptop. Remember how I said my cousin works at the venue? Look what she sent me. She pulled up an email with attachments. Detailed floor plans of the wedding venue, including the audio-visual setup specifications. The sound system runs through a central control board, she explained. One person could override it from any of these 3 locations. I studied the plans, a plan forming in my mind. Can your cousin get us in there before the wedding? Already arranged. We have access the day before during final setup. My phone buzzed with a text from Juliana. Your mum's really upset. Please call her. Whatever's wrong, we can fix it as a family. Family? The word felt bitter now. They wanted to talk about family after what they'd done. You know there's no going back from this, Reese said softly. Once you do this, your relationship with them will be over. I looked at the folder of evidence, then at the venue plans. They ended our relationship the moment they stole from me. Now, I'm just making it official. Then let's make it count, Reese said, pulling out a notebook. Tell me exactly what you want to happen at that wedding. The bridal shower was a masterclass in passive aggression. I sat in the corner of the country club's private room, watching Mum hold court among her social circle while shooting worried glances my way. Annalise, Juliana approached, clutching a champagne flute. Can we talk somewhere private? I followed her onto the terrace, away from the chatter and forced laughter. The late summer air was thick with tension. Your mum told me about the money, she said quietly. I had no idea. Did Dustin tell you? She shook her head. No, he just said there was some family disagreement about wedding expenses. Is that what they're calling theft these days? Look, Juliana set down her glass. I know you're angry, but this wedding, it's not just about us. There are business deals, political connections. So that makes it okay to steal my life savings? Of course not, but... She glanced over her shoulder as voices approached. Maybe we could work something out. Dustin and I could help you get a loan. There you are, Mum's voice cut through our conversation. Juliana, dear, the guests are asking to see your dress sketches. As Juliana was whisked away, a server handed me an envelope. From Mr. Hall, he said quietly. Inside was a note in Dad's precise handwriting. Stop whatever game you're playing with Simon. You're embarrassing the family. Remember who you are and where you came from. Don't force my hand. I crumpled the note just as Reese texted. All set for tomorrow's venue walkthrough. You okay? Peachy, I replied, just getting threatened by Dad via fancy stationery. Want me to come get you? Not yet. Still gathering intel. I rejoined the party where Mum was orchestrating a gift-opening ceremony with the precision of a military operation. Each present was carefully documented by her assistant for thank you card purposes. This one's from Annalise, Mum announced, handling the package like it might explode. Juliana unwrapped the small box, revealing a delicate vintage brooch. Oh, it's beautiful. It belonged to Grandma Rose, I said, watching Mum's face pale. She always said it should go to the first bride in the family. How did you get that? Mum's voice trembled. It was in the family safe. Was it? Along with all those interesting documents Simon's been reviewing? The room went silent. Mum's social mask slipped for just a moment, revealing raw panic underneath. More champagne, she called out quickly, but her hands shook as she reached for her glass. My phone buzzed again. Dustin, we need to talk, now. I found him waiting in the hallway, his perfect hair slightly dishevelled. What the hell are you doing? Giving wedding gifts, isn't that customary? Cut the crap, Annalise. Simon called Dad yesterday, talking about some audit. Worried about what he might find? Dustin grabbed my arm. This isn't a game. Do you have any idea what you could do to this family? I yanked free. You mean like stealing my entire savings without my consent? That money is being put to better use. Better use? I laughed. Right, because your wedding is more important than my entire future. This wedding is about all our futures, the connections we're making. Save it, I cut him off. I've heard enough about connections and family reputation. You know what's funny? None of you have even apologized. His face softened slightly. Look, after the wedding, we can figure something out. A payment plan, maybe. A payment plan? For my own money? Keep your voice down, he hissed. People are starting to stare. Let them stare. In fact, wait until the wedding. Then they'll really have something to stare at. The colour drained from his face. What are you planning? You'll see. Consider it my wedding gift to the family. I turned to leave, but he caught my wrist. Annalise, please, don't do anything stupid. Too late, I smiled. I already trusted my family. Back in the party room, I caught Juliana studying the brooch with a troubled expression. She looked up as I passed, something like understanding crossing her face. My phone lit up with another text from Dad. My office, tomorrow, 9 a.m, non-negotiable. I showed the message to Reese when she picked me up an hour later. Think he's finally scared? He should be, she said, pulling away from the club. Did you plant the bug like we planned? I patted my purse, where a tiny recording device was still running. Got everything, including Dustin basically admitting they took my money on purpose. Good, Reese nodded, because tomorrow's venue walkthrough is our only chance to set up the equipment. I looked back at the country club, where my family was probably already working to contain the damage I'd caused today. They think they're so clever, I said, but they have no idea what's coming. I didn't go to Dad's office the next morning. Instead, I met Reese at the wedding venue, a sprawling historic mansion with manicured gardens that probably cost more than my stolen savings. The AV team is setting up in there, Reese's cousin Marcus pointed to a side entrance. I told them you're the wedding planner's assistant. I adjusted my clipboard and fake event planning company badge. How long do we have? Hour tops. They're testing the sound system for the ceremony and reception. Inside, the grand ballroom was a maze of ladders, cables, and workers. A tech guy was mounting speakers while another programmed the lighting board. Perfect timing, Reese whispered, gesturing to an unattended laptop connected to the sound system. I'll distract them. She walked over to the techs, asking detailed questions about speaker placement. While they were occupied, I slipped behind the control table and plugged in my USB drive. My phone buzzed. Dad again. Your absence this morning speaks volumes. Last chance to stop this foolishness. I ignored it, focusing on uploading the audio files, recordings from the bridal shower, conversations with Dustin, and the damning evidence Simon had provided. Hey! A sharp voice made me jump. I turned to find Juliana standing in the doorway. My heart stopped. I can explain. No need, she said quietly, closing the door behind her. I know what they did to you. I stared at her, USB still in hand. How? I overheard Dustin and your dad arguing last night. About the money, about Simon, about all of it. She walked closer. They're terrible people, aren't they? You're just figuring that out? I always knew something was off. The way they talk about you, the way they handle money. She glanced at the laptop. What are you planning? You don't want to know. Actually, I do. She pulled out her phone, showing me texts from Dustin. Look what your brother's been saying about me to his friends. The messages made my stomach turn. Dustin bragging about marrying into money, calling Juliana his ticket to the big leagues. He's using me, she said, her voice hard. just like they used you. Juliana, I want in, she cut me off. Whatever you're planning, I want to help. Why should I trust you? Because I have something you need. She pulled out a small notebook. Your mum's passwords to everything, including the offshore account where they're hiding money from the IRS. My hands shook as I took the notebook. How did you get this? She asked me to help with some online banking last week. I saw her enter the passwords. Juliana's eyes were steel. I was going to use it as leverage after the wedding, but this is better. A crash from the ballroom made us both jump. We need to finish this now, I whispered. Use my codes, she said. Add whatever you need to the presentation. I'll keep them distracted. She walked out, immediately engaging the AV team in a detailed discussion about ceremony music. I worked quickly, adding the new information to my files. My phone buzzed again, Mum this time. Your father is furious. What happened to family loyalty? Juliana reappeared as I was packing up. Done? I nodded. Why are you really helping me? Because I was stupid enough to think I was marrying into a good family. She twisted her engagement ring. Better to end it now than spend my life dealing with their schemes. You could just call off the wedding and let them save face. No. Her smile was sharp. They want a society wedding to remember? Let's give them one. Reese appeared at the door. We need to go. They're starting the final sound check. Wait, Juliana grabbed my arm. There's something else you should know about why they really took your money. What do you mean? The wedding isn't the only thing they're funding. Your dad's company is under federal investigation. They're moving money around trying to hide it. My blood ran cold. How do you know? Because my father's on the investigation team. That's why your parents pushed so hard for this wedding. They're trying to buy political protection through my family's connections. Everything clicked into place. The rushed wedding, the desperate need for appearances, the offshore accounts. Those bastards, Reese whispered. My phone lit up with a text from Simon. Federal agents just left my office. Your father tried to implicate me in his schemes. I'm sending you everything I have. I looked at Juliana. Are you sure about this? Once it starts, I'm sure, she said firmly. They destroyed your life. They were planning to use my family. Let's destroy them first. As we left the venue, I received one final text from Dad. You have no idea what you're dealing with. I smiled, thinking of the evidence now loaded into the wedding sound system. No, Dad, I whispered. You have no idea what you're dealing with. The rehearsal dinner was a powder keg waiting to explode. I sat at my assigned table, watching my parents work the room like politicians at a fundraiser. They'd seated me far from the main party, next to distant relatives who kept asking about my little accounting job. Everything's ready, Reese texted from her position at the bar. Simon just arrived with the final documents. I glanced up to see Simon entering, looking nervous but determined. Dad immediately intercepted him, steering him toward a quiet corner. Annalise, Dustin appeared beside me, his smile strained. We need to talk, now. He led me to the restaurant's empty patio. The summer evening was warm, but I felt cold inside. Call it off, he said. Whatever you're planning tomorrow, just stop. Why? Finally feeling guilty? This isn't about guilt. The feds are circling Dad's company. If anything happens at this wedding... You mean if the truth comes out? He grabbed my shoulders. Listen to me. Dad's not just moving money around for the wedding. He's trying to save hundreds of jobs. If his company goes down... Save it! I shoved his hands away. I saw the offshore accounts. This isn't about saving jobs. It's about saving himself. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. You knew they took my money. You helped them do it. His face hardened. Because you wouldn't understand the bigger picture. This wedding, these connections, they're our family's only chance. Our family? I laughed. There is no family. There's just Dad's schemes and your blind loyalty. Dustin? Juliana's voice made us both turn. She stood in the doorway, her engagement ring catching the light. Your father's asking for you. He straightened his tie. Think about what I said, Annalise, please. After he left, Juliana moved closer. Your father cornered Simon. They're in his office now. What? I started toward the door, but she caught my arm. Wait, Reese is handling it. She's recording everything. My phone buzzed with a video message from Reese, footage through the office window. Dad was gesturing angrily while Simon stood his ground. I've got more, Juliana whispered, pulling out her phone. Dad called. The investigation is moving faster than expected. They're planning raids next week. After the wedding? Exactly. Your parents are planning to leave the country Sunday night. Private plane, fake passports, everything. My hands shook as I typed a message to Simon. Hold firm. We have everything we need. The office door burst open. Simon stormed out, face red. Dad followed, calling out, Think carefully about your next move. Is he okay? I asked Juliana. He's fine. Your father's threats don't work anymore. She glanced over her shoulder. But we have another problem. My father just arrived. I watched through the window as a distinguished-looking man in a federal agent's windbreaker entered the restaurant. Dad's face went pale. He's not supposed to be here, Juliana said. Something's wrong. My phone lit up with rapid messages. Reese, Fed's moving in. Tomorrow might be too late. Simon, they're seizing documents tonight. Wedding needs to happen first. Mum, family emergency meeting, kitchen, now. Go, Juliana pushed me toward the kitchen. I'll handle my father. The kitchen was empty except for my parents and Dustin. Mum was crying, mascara running down her cheeks. Happy now? Dad spat. Your little investigation tipped them off. They're moving in tonight. My investigation? I stepped closer. You mean your crimes? Everything I did was for this family. No, I pulled out my phone, playing one of the recordings. His voice filled the kitchen. Transfer it all offshore. No one needs to know, especially Annalise. She's too naive to understand. Mum sobbed harder. Kevin, you promised we had more time. We need to leave now, he said. The plane is grounded, I finished, courtesy of an anonymous tip about suspicious flight plans. Dad moved so fast I barely saw it coming. His hand wrapped around my throat, pushing me against the wall. You stupid girl! Do you have any idea what you've done? Dad, stop! Dustin pulled him back. The kitchen door burst open. Juliana's father stood there, flanked by agents. Kevin Hall, you're under arrest for fraud, money laundering and conspiracy. As they led my father away in handcuffs, he looked back at me. I hope you're happy. You've destroyed everything. No, Dad, I said quietly. You did that yourself. Mum was led out next, still crying. Dustin stood frozen, watching our family crumble. The wedding's off, Juliana announced from the doorway. I just told everyone. I checked my phone one last time. Reese, should we still play the recordings tomorrow? No need, I replied. Justice came early. The morning after the arrests, I sat in the federal building's interview room, surrounded by agents and evidence boxes. Juliana's father, Agent Thompson, spread documents across the table. Your parents' scheme goes back years, he said. Tax fraud, embezzlement, money laundering. We've been building this case for months, but your evidence broke it wide open. What happens now? They're looking at significant prison time. Your brother too, if he doesn't cooperate. My phone buzzed, Dustin calling for the 10th time. I declined it. There's something else. Agent Thompson slid a folder toward me. We found records of other accounts in your name, accounts you never knew about. Inside were bank statements showing millions of dollars. My hands trembled as I read the details. They've been using your identity to hide money since you were 18, he explained. That's why they kept you close, controlled your finances. A knock at the door interrupted us. Juliana entered, looking exhausted. The press is outside, it's getting ugly. I checked my phone's news alerts. Our family's face was splashed across every local website. Prominent families' wedding cancelled amid federal fraud charges. "Your mother's asking to see you," Juliana said softly. "She's in holding downstairs." "I can arrange that," Agent Thompson offered, "if you're willing to help us understand more about their operations." I found Mom in an interview room, her designer outfit replaced by standard-issue clothes. Her makeup was gone, making her look older, smaller. "My darling girl," she reached for my hands. I kept them in my lap. "Why?" I asked. "Why did you do it?" "Everything we did was for the family, for status, for connections." "No," I cut her off. "Why did you steal from me, your own daughter?" She straightened, a flash of her old self returning. "We needed to keep you dependent. Your father said if you bought that house, started your own life, we'd lose control of those accounts." "So you took my savings, used my identity, treated me like I was nothing." "Not nothing." Her eyes filled with tears. "Our insurance, our safety net. We needed those accounts in your name to stay clean." I stood up. "Goodbye, Mom." "Wait, please, you can't leave me here. I'm your mother." "No," I said quietly. "You're just someone who gave birth to me. A real mother wouldn't do what you did." Outside, Reese was waiting with coffee. "You okay?" "No," I took the cup. "But I will be." My phone rang again. Dustin. This time I answered. "Please," he said immediately. "I'll tell them everything. Just help me fix this." "There's nothing to fix, Dustin. It's over." "They're saying 10 years minimum for Mum and Dad. 5 for me if I don't cooperate." "Then cooperate. Tell the truth for once in your life." He was quiet for a moment. "I'm sorry. About your money. About everything." "Keep your apology. Just tell the agents what they need to know." I hung up as Simon approached carrying more files. "The forensic accountants found everything," he said, "including records of my involvement. I've agreed to surrender my law license." "Simon," he held up a hand, "don't. I deserve it." "But they're reducing charges in exchange for my testimony." Juliana joined us, her engagement ring conspicuously absent. "The venue's being swarmed by reporters. They want statements from all of us." "Let them wait," Reese said. "We need to get Annalise out of here." "Actually," Agent Thompson appeared with more papers, "we need to discuss the recovery of your assets, Ms. Hall. The accounts in your name. They're legally yours. After we verify which transactions were fraudulent, you'll have access to the remaining funds." I stared at him. "How much?" "Initial estimates suggest around $3 million. The irony wasn't lost on me. They'd stolen my savings only to give me access to millions they'd hidden in my name. "What are you going to do?" Juliana asked. I thought about the house I'd wanted to buy, the life I'd planned. It all seemed so small now. "First," I said, "I'm going to make sure every person they stole from gets their money back. Then, I don't know, start over, somewhere new." "They're going to want your story." Reese nodded toward the reporters outside. "Girl brings down corrupt family empire. It's got movie potential." "Let someone else tell it," I said. "I'm done with family drama." My phone lit up with a text from Dad's number, sent by his lawyer. "Your father wants you to know you'll always be a Hall. This will always be your legacy." I deleted it without responding. He was wrong. My legacy wouldn't be their crimes or their schemes. It would be the truth I'd exposed, the justice I'd fought for. "Come on," Reese linked her arm through mine. "Let's get out of here. Your new life is waiting." As we left through a side door, I heard reporters shouting questions. But for the first time in my life, I didn't care what anyone thought about me or my family name. I was finally free. The autumn breeze rustled through the trees as I unlocked the door to my new office building. The sign above read, "Second Chances Financial Recovery." My way of turning pain into purpose. "Morning, boss," Reese called from her desk. "The support group meets in an hour. We've got 5 new victims of family financial abuse joining today. My phone buzzed. A text from Juliana. Just landed in Seattle, starting my new job tomorrow. Thank you for everything. Good news, Reese asked, noting my smile. Juliana's doing well, making her own path. Unlike your brother, she nodded toward the newspaper on her desk. The headline read, Dustin Hall receives reduced sentence for cooperation in family fraud case. 3 years instead of 5, I said. At least he finally told the truth. Simon walked in, carrying coffee and files. After surrendering his law license, he'd joined my organization as a fraud consultant, helping other victims navigate the complex legal system. The Martinez family is here early, he said. Their story. It's remarkably similar to yours. They all are, I replied, thinking of the dozens of families we'd helped already. Parents stealing from children, siblings defrauding each other. My phone rang, a blocked number. I almost declined it until I recognized Mum's collect call message from prison. You should answer it, Reese said quietly. You can't avoid them forever. I took the call in my office. Hello, Mum. The leaves must be turning now, she said, her voice thin. Remember how we used to drive up to the lake house to see the colours? What do you want? Your father's health isn't good. The doctors say... She paused. He's asking for you. No. Annalise, please, despite everything, we're still... Don't say family, I cut her off. Family doesn't do what you did. We made mistakes. Mistakes, I laughed. You stole my identity, used me as your personal shield against the law. That's not a mistake, Mom. That's a choice. She was quiet for a moment. The other inmates, they read about you in the papers, about what you're doing now, helping other families. They say you're a hero. I'm not a hero. I'm just trying to make something good out of something terrible. I understand if you never forgive us, she said, but I want you to know I'm proud of you for being stronger than we ever were. I ended the call without responding. Through my office window, I could see the Martinez family arriving, parents who'd lost everything to their eldest son's manipulation. Ready? Simon asked from the doorway. Almost. I opened my desk drawer, pulling out the vintage brooch I'd given Juliana at her shower. She'd returned it before leaving for Seattle. Still keeping that? It belonged to my grandmother, I said, running my finger over the delicate design. The only person in my family who ever told me the truth. And what truth was that? That sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away. The office was filling up now. Victims of family financial abuse gathered to share their stories and find healing. Some faces were tear-stained, others angry, all of them searching for hope. My phone lit up with another text. Agent Thompson. 3 more cases identified. Families need your help. You up for it? Always, I replied. Reese appeared with our morning briefing. The support group's ready, and that reporter is here again, wants to do a follow-up story. Tell her no, I said, standing up. These people's stories aren't for public consumption. They're for healing. I walked into the meeting room, where nervous faces looked up at me. The Martinez family sat close together, clutching paperwork and tissues. Welcome, I said, taking my seat in the circle. My name is Annalise, and like you, I trusted the wrong people. But that's not where our stories end. A young woman raised her hand. How do you do it? Start over when your own family betrays you? I touched the brooch in my pocket, thinking of Grandma Rose's words. Family isn't about blood, it's about choice. We start, I said, by choosing ourselves, by building something new from the ashes of what was lost, and most importantly, by helping others do the same. As the stories began to flow, I watched hope slowly replace fear in their eyes. This was my real inheritance, not the millions in recovered assets or the family name now synonymous with scandal, but the ability to turn betrayal into purpose. Outside, the autumn leaves continued to fall, each one letting go, making room for something new to grow.